Greetings, Benjamin J. from Ben's Trains with another in the series. Well, here's that 994 that arrived. It has the 490 double reduction motor. And I ran it and I discovered the axle was bent. When I took it apart, I discovered that both axles were bent. Someone had been trying to pry the wheels off of this motor with a screwdriver and bent both the front and the rear axle. And the rear axle wasn't as bad, but I had to go ahead and replace both of them. So anyway, let's turn the power on. I just brought this back in, just got it put back together. Got the E unit broken loose, as you see. And when the E unit is sticking like that, the only choice you have is to try to lubricate it, to break it loose. And so what you do is you hold it upside down and you spray some WD-40 up into the solenoid, not down into the contacts. So you hold the motor upside down, spray some WD-40 up into the solenoid to lubricate that solenoid actuator, and it broke loose and it is working perfectly. So I'm going to put it on the tin litho consist. I put the tender on that came with it. And as you can see, it's in fairly poor condition. It's not terrible. There's no great amount of damage to it, except that dink right there, where someone has dropped it. Anyway, or thrown it perhaps after they bent the axles. It's hard to say. Anyway, let's put this on the outside rail, pulling 23 tin litho cars. Let's see how this goes. So a Marx 994 with a 490 double reduction motor, eBay 10 bucks. I was the only bidder. Well, as you see, that's what the problem was. So I had to replace both of the axles, which is no big deal as long as you have the axles to replace them with. That's why I always stress you've got to have parts. If you're seriously going to pursue repairing Marx locomotives, you've got to have the parts to do it with. So all in all, this took about 20-25 minutes. I had to pull the wheels off, replace both axles, put the wheels back on, lubricate it, clean the brushes and the armature, and spray some WD-40 into the E unit to break it loose. And this engine is running just absolutely perfectly. That's pulling 11 tin litho, or 23 tin litho cars at about 40% power. So it's running absolutely perfectly. So again, I have to stress, don't overlook the jump. You know, I was the only bidder on this, and in less than half an hour, it's up and running. So that's actually the fun part about doing this, is taking some old beat-to-death locomotive that's very likely been sitting in the drawer since whoever tried to repair it butchered it, and finally put it on eBay. 10 bucks, I was the only bidder, and as you can see, it's in less than perfect condition. There's no appreciable major damage except this big dink in it right there where it looks like someone's dropped it. And I can get this straightened out. Now this is steel, so you don't have to worry about it splitting when you try to straighten it back out. So I'll use the parallel jaw pliers, go around this, straighten that back out. I can have this paint touched up in the next, I don't know, half an hour or so. Oil it, and this is going to look actually quite good. And it has a double reduction 490 motor in it. So the double reduction motor is worth more than I paid for the entire locomotive. And it is running really well, as you can see. So it just reinforces everything I say. You've got to have parts. If you're seriously going to pursue repairing these things, if you have the parts, regardless of what's wrong with it, you can usually have it repaired in just a matter of a few minutes. In this case, I just pulled the wheels off, took the axles out, replaced both axles, put the wheels back on it. It's up and running. I had thought of replacing the push rods, but for now those are good enough. Being double reduction, I don't know if I have a set of double reduction wheels. Double reduction wheels are different than single reduction wheels. They're geared differently. So for now, this will do. The important thing is, it was really inexpensive. It took, I don't know, half an hour to fix it. and it is running absolutely perfectly. So it was definitely worth the 10 bucks. If I could only use it for parts, it was worth 10 bucks. So now it's just a matter of straightening out the dent in the back, touching up the paint, oiling the paint to bring it back to life, and I don't know, another half an hour of work, and this is going to look actually quite nice. So I'll do a video after I touch the paint up. It's really, really simple. And you can do this with an ink marker, a standard Marx a Lot black ink marker. And once you've touched up the paint, you oil it with a few drops of motor oil and a soft paintbrush, and this is going to actually look quite acceptable. Definitely worth the 10 bucks. So a quick follow-up on the Marx 994 from eBay. Has a 490 double reduction motor, and I was the only bidder. And this was just plain abuse. That's all this was. Someone had tried to pry the wheels off, and in the process bent both front and rear axle. The rear axle wasn't nearly as bad, but it still had a pronounced wobble. And so the only way to correct that is to replace it. You'll never get it straight again. I suppose if you want to put some time into it. But it's just easier just to take the axle out and put a new one in there. It only took a few minutes to do that. So I'll get this cleaned up, get this dent out of the back, touch up the paint, oil it, and this is going to be a great addition to the collection. And like I said, even if I couldn't fix it, it was worth 10 bucks just for the parts. And the E-unit is working, which is the nice thing. And it took a grand total of half an hour to get this running, I guess. Anyway, I just want to do a quick video on this. Don't overlook the junk. If you've got some parts, you can fix anything you can find on eBay. As you can see, it was definitely worth the $10. Another half an hour or so, this is actually going to look quite good. So I'll do a video after I've removed that dent in the rear cab and touched up the paint. But I just want to do a quick video on getting those axles repaired. Really straightforward, really simple. Use the wheel puller, pull the wheels off, replace both the axles, push the wheels back on it, and we are up and running absolutely perfectly. And I did put a light bulb in it, of course. So I just want to do a quick follow-up video. So I'll get the paint touched up, get this oiled, get this dent out of the rear of the cab. This is going to be a nice Marx 994. Is it perfect? Nope, it is not. It never will be. But it's running, it's going to look nice, and it was really inexpensive. That is the name of the game. So anyway, I just want to do a quick video. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to drop me an email, BENZTRAINZ@gmail.com. And as always, thank you for watching.